and we'll look at the engagement studio. So engagement studio is what defines a journey of a prospect. Like for example, if you buy something online and then you receive the notifications, like you may receive the thank you one, then you might receive automated emails for relative products. Like if you purchase product A, the things needed for these products would be automated, would be sent for an upsell. So let's move on. So what we would be learning today is engagement studio for our prospects and Salesforce Pardot integration. Right? So integration, I won't show you an exact integration, but yes, we will look at the trailheads, what exactly needs to be done, what configuration you need to do on Salesforce and on Pardot. So I'll tell you these steps. Also, I'll share you the link for the trailhead where you can learn things, and it is simple. If you follow the steps, you would successfully connect Pardot and Salesforce. Oh, sorry. So engagement studio, let me just type in. So we'll see engagement studio. So what is an engagement studio? So engagement studio is a path of a prospect that we can create, that is simple drag and drop thing. So it lets you build, test and report the engagement program. So whatever you create in engagement studio is called as engagement program. So it provides a personalized experience for your prospects, and it is a nurturing, like it is a lead nurture, wherein let's say I have a prospect. For example, let's take a real-time example. So if you go to if you want to buy a home, you want to purchase a house, right? So let's assume I am the company, or I am the real estate guy who has a project going on. So now you have seen, like you have been clicked, or you clicked on our advertisement, you fill in the form, now you are our prospect. And you visited the site, you are really interested, but there is no response. Now I'll try to nurture this. I try to send you the information regarding this project, or the amenities, or the infrastructure you get, and also I might send you some discount, right? Some discount emails, like we are running some discount on these properties. Would you be interested? So now buying a home is a long journey, right? It is not a simple decision. That is why I try to communicate with you via email, where I send you informations, where I send you discount, where I send you the features of the properties, where I send you the amenities you will get in the pricing. I'll send you nearby things, like it hospital is right. The hospital is like 2 kilometers, something like that. Right? So the nearby station. So if the railway station is nearby, that would be a great thing, right? So I have everything quick and handy. So these, I could run these journeys. I could set up these emails into my engagement studio, and whenever there is a new prospect who would be looking for out for an home, I would push that, or I would try to enter this prospect into this engagement program. This is all automated, right? You will get first email, then you will get the second one, then the third one, based on the activities. Like if he opens first email, I could send the second one. If he is not opening an email, I could send a reminder, right? So this is how we create the engagements. And who would devise or who would design these engagements? So you can discuss it with your teammates, you can have it already ready by a client, or you can always communicate and have these engagement ready, right? So it depends on businesses. Every business does not follow the same thing, right? Every business would have their own type of journey, their own type of email, their own lead nurturing processes. So let's see an engagement now. So how do you create an engagement? What does it resemble? And how can you execute it, right? So I hope you are able to see the screen. So this is engagement studio. The navigation is like marketing and then engagement studio directly. So let's create a one brand new engagement program. The name is like test. Right? Now it would need the list. Like which need would you use to send this engagement or to start this engagement program? Like a new prospect is filling up the form or landing page, he would be added to a list. So this list would be used in an engagement studio to send the emails. The suppression list. Right? So what is a suppression list? Suppression list is a list of people who have unsubscribed from your communication. That means they don't want any email communication from you. That is what we call a suppression list. So where is this suppression list created? Into our unsubscribe pages or our global unsubscribe, wherein someone receives an email that is once clicks unsubscribe, that is handled by Pardot on its own. So once someone unsubscribed, he should not receive an email, right? So this is where our suppression list come into picture. Maybe we have some preferences as well, like we can also use our preference list or user preferences who has opted out from these communications as a suppression list. So suppression list is basically a group of people whom we don't want to send email or they have opted out of the email communication. Right? Then we have send emails during business hours only, and we can select the business hours, like is it Sunday, let's say Thursday we don't want to send, so Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday, or Monday to Friday, right? We can say, okay, don't send it in business hours, send it anytime. That can be also done. And also the time zone, you can select the time zones. This is the most important thing. Allow prospects to enter program more than once. So if I check it, this means allow prospect to enter the program again and again. They can re-enter anytime. So how can they re-enter? Days before re-enter, eligible is like after 1 day they are eligible to re-enter the program. Also, do we want to limit the entries? So yes, limit total entries to 1. And no, we don't want to limit any entries. That is what we say, allowed unlimited entries, right? So let's keep this for now. We'll uncheck this. We'll only re-enter the prospect once. Now you can see I have the paths. I could create or I could add an element. So what do I have? I have action, I have trigger, I have rule. So action is something that is like we can add to a list, we can add to campaign, we can adjust the score, that is we can increase or decrease the score. We can notify the users, we can have a Salesforce task directly if it is connected with Salesforce. We can send an email, right? Trigger, that is a listen to event, and the rule evaluation. So based on the rules, we have actions, and for this action we can have triggers. Like if someone is opening an email, I want to check if someone has opened an email that we sent, I could use an activity from trigger. The rule says like if the gender or the car model is relative to this, or the property visited is this, send this email. If property visited is property B, send email relative to B, right? So that is what we can evaluate. Then we have action and also we have triggers. So let's say we will evaluate something. Let's say score, overall score is greater than 20. Right? Evaluate when? Evaluate immediately, or we can have a wait timing, like the evaluation can be 2 days, 5 days, or any number of days. So when we configure wait, that means it would be waiting those period of time. So let's say a prospect enters into a engagement programs, he would wait for 1 day for the evaluation. If we specify wait 1 day, and then he would move to next path. So let's say we want to immediately evaluate the score is greater than 20. So whenever the score is greater than 20, we have two paths now. One is yes, another is no. So whenever someone is on this evaluation and the score is greater than 20, he would be going to the yes path. If the score is not 20, it is less than 20, he would be going to the no path, right? So if it is yes, we can also add elements into the yes path. Also, we can add to the no path, right? So we'll add some elements on the no path where we send an email saying that we'll send an email immediately. So we can have wait as well. So we can say if someone qualifies to this, his score is greater than 20, wait for 2 days and then send an email. Or we can have a specific date, like we can say, okay, send email on 20. So when we have an engagement, we always use wait and immediate actions, right? So let's say we'll send an immediate email. So now whenever the score is greater than 20, the email would be sent. Whenever the score is less than 20, we would notify a user, right? And how do we notify a user? By going to actions, notify user immediately, and select the user, that is my user, right? Save it. So what does this say again? Score is greater than 20, send an email. Score is less than 20, notify your user. So user would receive a notification, and then he can evaluate if the prospect is good enough to move further, or we discard this prospect, right? Now I want to analyze if someone has opened this email. So what I would do is like listen to an event, that is trigger. If someone has opening which email? The test email. And now I have two options. One is up to maximum of 2 days. That means whenever the email is been sent, it would wait up to maximum 2 days, and then the evaluation would work. Or we can simply give a wait of 2 days, saying that okay, whenever the email is been sent, wait for exactly 2 days, right? Exactly 2 days. Up to maximum is like if the open is between 1 day, he would qualify. So let's go with the wait for 2 days. Now let's say the score is greater than 20, entered into a yes path, received a test email, opened the email. Now we would be going to the yes path. If it does not open an email, I want to send a reminder. So I would now create a reminder on the no path. That is our action. And send an email. Let's say this is a reminder email that would be sent after 2 days again. So we wait for evaluation, and then after evaluation, if someone is not opening an email for 2 days, we send a reminder email. If someone is opening an email, we could send another email, or we could also create a Salesforce task, or assign this prospect to a user. That can be also done. The user would be mine again. Right? So now let me zoom out. So this is our engagement program, which says, okay. So this says like the prospect would start here. The score is greater than 20. Yes, send an email, evaluate or wait for 2 days. Check if he has opened an email. If yes, assign this to a user. If no, send a reminder email. And if the score is less than 20, notify the user, right? And the end of the engagement program. So this is now built. It is not started. You see a start button in here. Once you start it, it would start automatically. It would take the prospect. Whenever the prospect is added to the list, it would start the program. It would enter that prospect into this engagement program. We can test it as well. So when I click on test, I see begin test. So let's say begin it. Now it would ask us the questions. Is the prospect score greater than 20? Let's go with the no. Let's go with no first. No. So the user would be notified and it would end. So you can see the log in here. Engagement started, prospect score matched. No. Notify the user and engagement has ended. Let's start it over now. Now the score is greater than 20. Yes. Email is been sent. It is waiting for 2 days. Was the email open? Let's say yes. Yeah. So assign to the user. So now the path is correct. So let's start over and see if the email is not open, what happens. Right? It is simple, plug and play, right? Was the email open? No. So a reminder email we sent. So we sent an email, waited for 2 days to open this. If someone is not opening, we send a reminder email. So reminder email is sent and then it ends, right? So we can now, let's say we have tested it. You can now start it. So you can activate it, right? So we again a recap, or let's see what activities do we have. We have action, trigger, and rule. So action is for sending an email, adding to a list, add to a campaign, adjust the score, apply the tag, assign to user, change the prospect's field value. You can create a Salesforce task. You can remove from a list. You can remove a tag. Trigger. So we can check if someone has clicked on the custom redirect, if someone has clicked on the link of the email, if someone has opened the email, if there is a PDF or a file download, if someone has filled in the form, and form handler completion and a landing page. Right. So you can listen to these events. And again the evaluation. So evaluation is like if someone has the user has been assigned, if the prospect is a part of a list, if prospect's custom field is equal to something, if prospect tag is new, if Salesforce campaign is, let's say, a campaign name, Salesforce status score is something, let's say score is about 20. We can use that for evaluation. We can check the assigned user is someone. Based on that, we can also have the actions. Right? So these are the elements. It is a drag and drop thing. You can test it as well. This is what is called as engagement program. So the important things in the engagement program are re-entry, like you need to specify if a prospect can re-enter into a journey. So allow prospect to re-enter the program more than once. So this is the important setting. You cannot change it once you activate it. Right? So this is a decision that you need to take at creation. So you can see the history, like we have not activated the program still now. So program is created but not activated. So you can see the history in here. Activation, pause, did it stop, how, who did stop it, who activated it. That is the history of this engagement program. Right? Now let's see. I hope you are clear on this. Any questions? You could yes, look, I need your feedbacks. You could write yes or no into the chat. Everyone, am I audible, guys? Okay, great. Okay, let's move on to next one then. On the prospects. So engagement is pretty simple. This is a journey of a prospect. Once he enters this engagement, he would be analyzed, he would receive, he would again have to follow the paths based on these activities. And it is mostly a lead nurturing path wherein you would have yes, no combinations, you will have combination of actions, triggers, and rules that would evaluate, do the action, and listen to the event. Like an email open or click, an action can be sent to a list, add to a list, send an email, and rule can be the score, the assignment, like the assigned user is someone. You can reassign the prospect based on the activities as well. That is what we do in Engagement Studio. Let's now see prospects. So prospects is a term that is what like everyone in Pardot is known as prospect. So what Pardot does is like Pardot does help you to acquire, qualify, and convert prospects into customers. Right? So after visitor provides an email address, so whenever there is an email address, it would be synced to Pardot from Salesforce if it is connected, if it is integrated. If it is not, it won't sync. So email address is always needed to create a prospect in Pardot. And you can assign the prospect to the users. You can create opportunities. You can create the respective fields that would be needed to track, and then you can enter these prospect into a journey or an engagement studio or engagement program. Okay? Let's see prospects in Pardot. So how do I traverse, or how do we traverse to prospects? We go to prospects and then prospect list. So these are all prospects I have. So this is a prospect. It is in Salesforce, so when it is synced or when it is in Salesforce, you can see the Salesforce icon. So once you click on it, you will see the prospect, or it would open the prospect's Salesforce link or Salesforce record. And you can see the quick things, like you can see the score, you can see the last activity of the prospect, you can see everything. Now let's see the details of this prospect, that is test. You can see the name, you can see the email address, the activity, or the engagement activity, or any activity that he has done, like a form has been filled for marketing cloud form handler, and the score is added, right? The score is overall 335. So when I click on the score, I could see how the score is adding up. That means a form handler, whenever someone submits, it adds 50 points. Upon form submission, the count is twice, like 2 times the form has been submitted. The total points are 200, and the adjustment is like 85. So I have added 85, so total score goes up to 335. The assigned user, so which user is this prospect assigned? This is assigned to this user. You can see the usernames. When is it assigned? So we have these columns inside. So inside we can see the score, grade, user, assigned date, and recent interaction. Sorry, I just there was some network issue. Okay, so these are all prospects custom field. Like you can create custom fields as many as you want. Then we have additional field like tags. So we have added this prospect to a tag of 5 plus. That is what we created an automation in the last session, wherein we say if the score is greater than 5, add the tag as 5 plus. Then these are the additional fields like by default the job title, department, the country, the address, the phone, the website, the source is website. These are all standard fields, I could say. Then the do not email. So do not email is the most important field, wherein if someone unsubscribe, this field would contain unsubscribe, like do not email is true. This means this prospect has unsubscribed, you cannot send an email to this prospect. When is it created? When is it updated? Created by whom? Updated by whom? And CRM lead ID. So if it is connected, it is in CRM as well. It is connected with CRM. You can see the CRM lead ID. This is our record ID. That is 18 digit. This is always unique. CRM contact ID. So now it is lead. So we have lead ID. When it is contact, we'll have contact ID. And the CRM record type is now lead. You can, if it is a contact, you can see it is it as a contact. So this is all about prospects basic things, right? So in prospects we can see the details of a prospect. We can send one-to-one emails. It means once we can send one-to-one emails to a prospect. So when we say send a list email to a prospect, let's name it test or campaign. So I'll select a template. So when I go to sending, I could select the prospect to send the emails, right? From a specific user, like a sender, let's say my. So it would be going from my email address, and where would be reply received to the same one, right? The subject and what actions can be taken. Like a prospect, if the prospect is opening this email, we can add this prospect to a list also, right? Like add to a list. We can also do the testing on our test IDs or test internal list, right? That is what individual email is, and we can send it to a list also. So we can send via prospect, we can send one-to-one emails, we can see prospect accounts. So prospect account is like the account. Now Cloudify has one prospect. So this is account name is Cloudify. So account is basically I could say the companies or the account. Under the accounts we have prospects. So this is a prospect under an account. So how is the account analyzed based on the email address domain like Cloudify? So now Cloudify is the company when you input a form, right? So we have prospects. We can send one-to-one email. Also, we can see the accounts that are associated with prospects. So when we go to visitors, we can see the stats like how many page views are today, what was the page views over a period of time, top companies that visit your websites, new visitors. For now, we don't have any visitors, so the score you see is 0 as we are not having any visits on this Pardot, right? So we can see the visitor analytics, we can see the prospects, we can see send a one-to-one email, and we can also see the prospect account, right? Now let's move on to the next one, wherein we say Salesforce and Pardot integration. So integrating is something that is easy. So once you have, let's assume Sales Cloud is connected with Pardot. Now whenever there is a new lead into Salesforce, it would be synced over with all the details to Pardot as a prospect, right? And Pardot is bidirectional. That means it can read from Salesforce, also it can write back on Salesforce. So it is bidirectional. So if there is any change on Pardot on a prospect, it would write the same thing, or it is capable of writing same thing on the record level of Salesforce. So this helps keeping sales and marketing on the same page, right? Everyone works together, everyone works hand in hand, the sales and marketing. And it would always have this sales funnel in place. It would entirely work based on these stats, right? Let's now move and see the integration. So for integration, there is a thread known as Salesforce Pardot integration. It takes around, the estimated time for this implementation is 1 hour 20 minutes. I'll send this link to you over the chat right now. So you can follow this trailhead and configure the integration between Salesforce and Pardot. So what is it? Configure your Salesforce. First is like understand. Second is setting up the connector. Third is like your Salesforce account. Fourth is like configuring your Pardot account. Right? So you can finish up these things. So the basic changes what you need to do with Salesforce or would when integrating is with first you start with Pardot. Right? So first is set up the connector in Pardot. So in setting up the connection, you need to install the package on the Salesforce for Pardot. Right? So once you install the Pardot app into Salesforce environment, and these are the steps you need to follow. Right? Install for admins. Once you click on install, it starts installing this package into your org. And once it is completed, you will receive an email that says package Pardot install successful for the user that is installing the package. Right? Then you need to give permission sets. You need to create those permission sets wherein you allow this connector user to access the objects. Right? And then you whitelist your Pardot IP into your Salesforce account. That means when Pardot will communicate with your Salesforce, it would use its, you will need to whitelist the the IP address into the Salesforce. You need to allow it. Right? So these are all IP address that you need to allow by going to the allow list in Salesforce. It is a network access. This is the step where that you would be following to add these IP addresses. And then add the Salesforce connector in Pardot. So we'll see where is it. It is on admin on the connectors. So when I go to this, I could see the Salesforce is connected with my user, right? So this is how you connect to Salesforce. Now, if you want to connect to Sandbox, you need to check connect to Salesforce Sandbox if it is production Salesforce, or you need to uncheck the box that says connect to Salesforce Sandbox, right? And once you finish it, next step would be your account setup. Like you need to go to Pardot and then grant admin access. So the role or the user having admin access can set up these things in Pardot, right? Then you need to follow certain steps on Salesforce that is in this unit. That is like you need to map the fields. That is lead to contact in Salesforce. So field mapping is needed. Like when lead is converted, this field should flow to contact, right? The field mapping should be always done. Also, you need to edit the page layouts. Like you need to have those Pardot components like the tracking history, the score, the Pardot URL, and everything on a record level on Pardot itself. That is what you will configure in the page layout. Like a Pardot section which says Pardot grade, Pardot score, Pardot last activity, Pardot's last scored at, comments, and everything. That is every detail about a prospect. You can see it on the record level in Salesforce itself. You don't need to go to Pardot, right? And then you can see the new section. Like you can create new sections where you can see The Pardot activities, like what activities has been done on this prospect, has he opened an email, has like an email has been sent, that can be seen on the record level again. So a button can be added saying that add to a Pardot list or send a Pardot email. That is again simple drag and drop thing. So once you complete the settings on Salesforce, there is one more thing that you need to do on Pardot. That is this thing, configure your Pardot account. So once these all fields are created on Salesforce, you need to map these fields to Pardot so that it would sync or it would start syncing with those fields from Salesforce. So if you create a custom field, you need to map, or you can skip that as well if you only want to use this field in Pardot. If you want to use the field from in Salesforce, so you create a field in Salesforce, then you map this field, you create a custom field in Pardot and map the new custom created field by selecting it. Right? That is salesforce.com field name. So sync behavior is like which value we want to use. So if it is Salesforce, you can select use Salesforce value or use sales Pardot value, or you can go with an option that says use most recently updated. So if the Salesforce value is most recently updated, it would take the value from this field, that is from Salesforce. If the value is updated or the recent value is in Pardot, it would take the Pardot's value, not Salesforce. Then you need to map the users from Pardot to Salesforce. Like users should be also synced. So if you are creating a user in Pardot, you can map that user with the same user in Salesforce, right? If you have that same user in Salesforce, and then you can enable a single sign-on. That means you can use the Salesforce login credential to sign in into Pardot if the user are both present into Salesforce and Pardot. That is what you can configure. That is Pardot single sign-on. That is called a single sign-on SSO. Right? So that's it. Once you do these all steps, yes, you are connected with you connected Salesforce and Pardot successfully. Right? Then you can test it. You can create a prospect in Salesforce and check if the prospect is syncing to the Pardot and vice versa. Right? That's it. So if you follow this thing, I think you would be able to connect Pardot and Salesforce. So any questions so far? Like I think I have one that is like, can you help us or help me with the links to prepare for certification on the Trellit? So there is a complete thing on Pardot. So when I search Pardot, so there are two certification. One is email specialist and a consultant. So once you search Pardot, you need to follow these all Trellits. So you can add this to your buckets, right? So it is like Pardot basics, Pardot business units, automating marketing, right? Pardot Salesforce integration for Lightning app. So these are all you need to follow for Pardot certifications. So when I go to certifications, I could see Pardot consultant and Pardot specialist. So Pardot specialist is a prerequisite for consultant. That means you need to give first one, that is Pardot specialist, and then you need to move on to, or the next would be Pardot consultant. Right? So yes, you can, once you do trailers, you would be able to give the certification. It is easy. because every trailhead has its own learning path and also the screenshots. So next session we would be seeing about reports and overall the questions and answer sessions. So for now today I think that's it. Like we have seen prospects, we have seen engagement studio, we have seen the connection between Pardot and Salesforce. So I want or I am waiting for Q&A. So question and answer please. So next session or next time, Supriya would be have we would be having Supriya who is an Pardot expert. She is Pardot certified as well. So she would be leading us on these reports and everything. She's with us today as well. Guys, any questions? You can type in quickly. So I hope that's it. Any questions? Again, I'll wait for a minute for these all questions. Any doubt, any question that you have, you can write out. You can ask that right away. Okay, I think that's it. Then thank you for your time, guys. Thank you for your dedication as well.